Sketchup number 11's kicking off, and this one's going to be a little bit of a deep dive into the world of Blade Runner. This is going to contain moderate spoilers. I think I'll probably have spoilers in the next one. I probably won't be speaking too spoilery in this one. It will be talking much about the themes and ideas that were in Blade Runner 2049. So if you haven't seen those, are going to be watching this, I would hold off on watching this until you actually see those. As for the drawing is concerned, it is of Joy from Blade Runner 2049, and it's got my little guy Zeke in there, filling in the spot for Ryan Gosling. I liked this drawing particularly because it kind of meshes the two worlds, the one of Blade Runner and the one of my own creation, the one from I Never Forgot. So it was a good little, fun little nod right there to that. Another good note is this, I'm so proud of this drawing, especially because I had tried drawing some Blade Runner fan art a few days previously of Ana de Armas, who played Joy in the film. And if you check my Instagram or check my Facebook, you can see pictures of those, and they are a wreck. They are a mess. My hand just didn't want to cooperate, but took a couple days thinking about what needed adjusted, what I needed to work on, especially for her to make these drawings work, and took the time. And when I started drawing this one, like, I just knocked it out of the park the first chance. I wish I would have gotten more of this sketching part of it, because like I said, it just came together, and at that point we were off to the races. So let's talk a little bit about Blade Runner. If you have not seen 2049, I highly suggest it. Well, like I said, I might be a little spoilery, so if you haven't seen it, I suggest waiting on this video and then going seeing it, or watching it after you see 2049. The attention to detail in Blade Runner 2049 is immense. They have very bland set interiors until you start looking them over, and it's so much more it's everything about this movie looks so simple until you look at it a little bit deeper and you realize that it's so complex. It's insane. The aerial shots, some of the first aerial shots in the movie show this path that Batista's character walks every day. And you know that he walks that path because he gets wet and he gets muddy, and there's a very faint muddy path from the house to where he works, and it's little things like this that just are so well done in this movie. God, I could literally speak about this movie forever, but I'm going to try and keep it pretty brief. If you've seen the original Blade Runner, there is a scene from where Harrison Ford kind of forces himself on Rachel, the replicant, which these movies are so ambiguous that a lot of the movies are left to the person watching its narrative, and that makes it so much more intense if you really start to dive in, because the scene I'm referencing, last movie, people had problems with that, but with this movie there's a few lines of dialogue that clears that all up, and when you realize they were both replicants and they were both made for that one thing, was to procreate with each other, it brings a whole new level to that movie as well. A lot of this movie hinges on a person's belief of what can a robot have a soul, or what can contain a soul, or like what a soul really means. Are we all part of this grand design, or are we all these little meticulously designed products that are just basically trying to find our way to figure out how to live day to day? From that point, if they do have a soul, or robots can become more, at what point do they get a conscience? That soul, does it have a purpose? And like, if they're only created for one duty, what happens when that duty is fulfilled? Can they actually break out and make their own duty, or can they work towards their own destiny? There are so many good parts about this movie. So many strong female characters. Ryan Gosling is a pretty bland character for the most part of the movie, but it's necessary. His blandness kind of amplifies everything around him, and that's so necessary for a lot of the storytelling of this movie. I would love that we never visit this movie series again for another 30 years, because that would mean in 30 years, my nephews are 5 and 10 right now. In 30 years, they would be the age I am right now, and I would be the age that somebody 30 years in my advance, my father, is then. And that's such a trippy concept to understand, is because like these people that you're watching grow up come into their own and are trying to figure out all this other stuff, and like they would be on the same parallels that I am right now. It's like this trippy back in time type loop, and it's so awesome to think about. There's a lot of other great themes expressed in the movie. The one bad replicant, I could say, works for Wallace, is called love. And joy, that I'm drawing right here, is the basic hologram projection companion. And at one point in the movie, love actually kills joy. And I just want to say that again, because all this stuff is buried under mounds of like innuendos and like just sideways glances, and like it's not unless you like actually look at the other stuff underlying the movie that the stuff like comes into focus. And love sees how much joy means to Kay, which is Ryan Gosling's character. So love literally goes out of her way to kill joy for him. That concept, it's just one of thousands of concepts like expressed in this movie. I can't get over how incredible this movie is. I watched it again. I wanted to get this part out first. I'll be doing a part 2 for next week, and we'll discuss some more about these movies. But for sure, I wanted to get this one out before I watch it again, because I have a lot of things that I want to say. But I don't want to necessarily spoil anything. I haven't spoiled anything thus far. Hopefully, if you're watching this before you watch 2049, you're thinking about these concepts before you go into the movie, and like you can see those, and it makes them much more clear when you see them. It's such a massive movie. It's easily my favorite movie of the year. after a few watches, like, this movie is definitely something special to me. Just because not only did it amplify meanings from the first movie, but you're taking that concept and you're evolving it and pushing it further than it was 30 years ago, because you're also carrying 30 years of weight of cinema. And just thinking about that concept just drives me wild, just with so much joy and anticipation of watching it again and seeing what I pick up next time. So I'm going to leave it there. Be watching next week for the second Blade Runner, probably Blade Runner 2049 recap and discussion. I'll be drawing joy again. This was from SHEcember. I believe it was about the 15th of December that I did this. And like I said, I just love this drawing. So check you later. Peace.